junk here.
Right, exactly.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to move that we come out of executive session.
I thank you.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Order passed, 5-0.
Now we're back to you, Twyla.
There are no public hearings. It would be the audience participation and response for agenda items.
Anybody wishing to address, we'll open the public hearing. Seeing no movement, closing the public hearing.
You know what, we should, yeah.
There is no
I think
public
we
hearing.
need to do good news and recognition. Somehow I missed that one.
Okay. Does anybody have any good news and recognition? Who was the second promotion in PD? I don't remember the two just promoted.
The dog officer is for sergeant?
Sorry, I'm not going to come up with it, and I'm not going to look like a jerk to only come up with half of it.
The two sergeants,
Yes.
Picard and St. Pierre.
Can you please vocalize that?
Okay, so we want to give recognition to Jason St. Pierre and to Jeff Picard, who have been promoted to sergeants within the police department.
Thank you.
And I have one also. Just want to thank a new economic developer, Brett, for actually participating last night in a positive change meeting in town. It was actually, we kind of did a meet and greet. He showed up and it was actually very positive, and we had probably 20 people attend, most of the downtown businesses and very interested people in the town, and he actually served us really well, and I think there's a lot of energy for us to move forward with the downtown and beyond. And so I want to give kudos to him because he did represent us very well in the new position that we have, and I think he has some really neat ideas, so hopefully they actually come forward. I'll let him share those as time moves forward.
Any others? I would like to thank the PW Director's assistant for the day after Christmas actually staffing the booth at the solid waste facility. It kept the people moving in a situation that is knowingly the worst day associated with the year, and I appreciate his efforts on that. I said it to him then, and I'll say it here again publicly. He's a good man. Thank him. Moving right along, Twyla, if there's nothing else.
All right. Next item would be the consent agenda. Order 2020-20-01 to approve the municipal accounts payable and payroll warrants number 1226-2019 for $11,528.22. Number 200102, $187,456.02. Warrant number 2001W1, $15,857.43. Number 172020 for $197,498.35. School accounts payable and payroll warrants number 1043 for $345,686.41. Number 1044 for $13,298.32, along with the minutes for December the 17th.
I'll make that motion.
Second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
5-0, order passed. Under council orders, resolutions, and ordinances, order 2020-02, the transfer station compact trailer purchase.
Speaking of the transfer station, Randy Sear, Public Works Director, Solid Waste Director. If you guys remember, this fall we had to make repairs to one of our trailers to just basically get us by. I'm requesting that we go out to bid. The lead time on the build of these trailers are approximately 6 months. So if we order today, we probably won't get it till June, July. I'd like to source that out to J&J Trailers. We purchased a stucco trailer before, which we had to make repairs on. The trailer's only, I think it was a 2012. So it's only 7 years old, and we had to put a new bottom in it already. The quality of the steel is not as good as the J&J trailer that we have. My mechanics have noticed a lot of differences in the trailers. Stecco being probably a cheaper trailer at the time, not faring out that well. With the new bottom that we put in it, like I said, it's a Band-Aid. New trailers cost around $103,000. I'm looking to try to get this out to bid and like your permission to move forward in trying to buy one. I think Diana, correct me if I'm wrong, I think we allocated that money, I think half of it's in my budget and half of it's coming from unappropriated funds.
Can I make a motion
I make a
to
motion
allow
for discussion.
for discussion? Yes, I take a second on that.
A
What's the
second.
motion?
Motion,
Allowing him to go out to bid on this item for discussion.
Okay.
I had the second right here. All in favor on that?
5-0.
Okay. Now, I have no issue with this going out to bid. I have every issue with giving somebody a $100,000 award for a purchase on a single source. If we can put this out with bid specs that actually are closer to not that one vendor, but the specifics of the steel that you need to be
Gauge.
able, you need
Yep.
to make that gauge of steel to not avoid the issues that we've had with the prior, that passes the straight face test.
Right.
You have my support.
My question is, can you go out for that brand in
For-
more than one location?
J&J is their own, they manufacture their own trailers.
Okay.
Basically, they have our specs because they have to basically do it to our facility. Well, Steco has our specs too. I'm not sure, I wasn't here to order the last trailer, I don't know who was. But just in looking at the differences between the two trailers that we have right now, the J&J is a much better quality, from the struts being on the outside that are a lot larger and a lot thicker, cutting into them, making repairs, we've noticed that the gauge of steel is a lot better. I know when you go up in gauge and steel, you're talking more money. So like you said, if we get the specs that we had for the J&J, send it out to other companies saying that our struts are going to be this gauge and the bottom's going to be this gauge, and everybody's apples to apples, and I'm with you there, trying to get the same
Yeah.
same spec from
Because the
different
way I
vendors.
would actually look at that, Randy, is the fact is lowest cost bid, non-responsive.
Right.
If you are actually giving me 10 gauge steel and I'm looking for 12, and I
Right.
just pulled two numbers out of my ass. I'm not
Yeah.
But the point is,
Right.
if you're giving me less than I spec'd,
Right.
I'm viewing you as non-responsive.
Right.
The fact is to avoid that issue that we had in the past.
Right.
And likewise, if the external struts are a requirement, you can put that in your base bid.
Right.
If there are key components associated with this that need to fit our application,
Yeah.
that you don't meet it, you're non-responsive.
Well, you figure what happens was, when we keep packing that trash in there, it's blowing out, it's pushing
Yep.
on the side. So
Yep.
what's happening is the edge of the trailers are bowing out, after a while. Trying to make the best of each load, we're packing it probably than we should, but there's no gauge on, we can't see the trailer and we can't see, the only thing we have to do is just keep packing it. So
Mr. Chairman, so we have two right now, right?
we have two, yes.
What are the year differences between the two that we actually have?
I believe there's a 5-year difference between the two.
One's
I'd have to
actually
check
the-
again.
The
One's-
J&J older or newer?
J&J is, I think the
remember.
J&J's newer.
Newer, right?
Yep.
And then we actually haven't had to do much,
Nothing.
not much of that one
No.
since, yeah. And the idea of once we actually got another new one would probably actually kind of put the other one out to pasture pretty much as out.
It's a
as out-
spare.
be a spare.
Because, sometimes the brake cans go, whatever, and on a busy day, my mechanics have to work like either on the off days, which is like a Monday or a Thursday, where we can pull the trailer in, but then we got to make sure the trailer's empty, and we got to schedule it around everything. So if we knew one had a bad brake can or whatever, and, the repairs we'll take the spare and bring it in instead.
So you have two right now, and those are just on a constant, actually, rotation.
Constant rotation. So there's no real downtime for any of them. When one gets pulled out, the other one gets pulled in.
Inspection-wise, axle, brakes, and all the stuff on the other ones, it's still good. It's more fatigue of the undercarriage.
That seems to be okay. The chassis part of it seems to be fine. We have no issues with the quality of the axles, the brakes, or anything like that. Even down to the pintle hook, the plate, you know what I mean? So we've got no issues there. It's just with the floor and the struts on the side and the siding.
It's a cheaper trailer.
It's a cheaper trailer.
It's
you
the
know.
older,
Huh?
and it's the older of the two.
It's the older of the two,
So
yeah.
the other part too is we maybe we actually increased the spec on the second one to avoid the hardship from the first.
I would,
That could've
I would
happened, too.
assume so, not being here when that was done,
Right.
I don't know.
Sorry, Don, go ahead.
Oh, my question is, if we change direction in the transfer station in the future, how is this affected?
I don't know what's going on with the,
It
You
wouldn't
know.
affect it unless you were going to,
Unless we're going to
Close
close it.
unless it was
Right.
you're gonna eliminate it, then this is a trailer that's built to our specs. So if it's something that if anything should ever happen to the transfer station and we had to get rid of it, it'd have to be somebody that has close to the same specs we do. Because the trailer's built specifically for us.
I don't see that being an issue in the
Uh,
future.
well-
Trailer out before, actually, and it was a trailer.
I've heard things.
Yeah, anything's possible, but, with what's going on right now, I mean, I think we should look into the trailer, and see where that goes.
So, I need a motion.
We already have a motion
have
for
a
a
motion.
second, and the motion is for him to actually do a spec and go out to bid, so.
Is that the motion?
Yeah, it
That was
was.
the motion.
To go out to bid for the purchase of a new compact trailer, right? Okay.
Right.
And the second, was that you, Don?
Yes.
Okay, so, great. And the vote was 5-0.
5-0. You're good to go.
All right, I just want to add a couple things, if you don't mind.
No, you're here.
With it being this is going to get away from the transfer station or the trailer altogether. Pinewoods Road is going to be an issue. I mean, this is already coming up. There's a lot of complaints already about the potholes. You see the weather. It's getting warm. It's getting cold. Getting warm. Getting cold. We're having rain. It's going to freeze. We're going to have the same pothole problem that we probably had last year. I just want the public to know that we're trying to stay on top of it. We've got a lot of issues with, people hitting potholes. Those things are created, daily, especially with the, trucking still going on. So I just want the public to be aware that, Pinewoods Road is bad. We all know it. We're going to work on trying to maintain the holes as they come up. If they see one starting, just give us a call and say, hey, new holes are coming, even though my guys are out there all the time, but just to be mindful of that. And the other thing is, be careful on the sidewalks. I mean, we've had a couple of slip and falls, but the stuff melts during the day, freezes overnight, people come out of their apartments or whatever, and the stuff's going to be slippery. I just want everybody to be careful. We did snow removal on Main Street last night and Union Street. Went really well with the new skid steer, probably cut our time in half. So we were pretty much out of there by 7 o'clock in the morning. So we did very well getting in and out of there. So, but I just want the public to know that, the sidewalks are slippery because, the thawing and refreezing. So just to be mindful of that when you're stepping out first thing in the morning.
Can you possibly give us an idea of time frame what we'll be looking at for Pinewoods now that the referendum's been passed?
I was talking to Kayla earlier, and I think she was working on some of the paperwork to get this going for next year. I think we'll be all set for that. But we've got Mandy Oliver. They've all done the surveying already. They were out there this fall. I believe they're probably drawing plans up pretty quick, and then that'll be going out to bid soon. So as soon as I get the prints, I'll be sending that out to bid.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, please.
can I ask an unrelated question,
Sure.
but only Public Works knows? Can you give us a status on the lights on Village Street?
The lights on Village Street. I just got a call from a friend of mine that works for A&D. For On Target, sorry. And he told me that they have a job that they're coming to replace the lights on Village Street. So I really don't know what's going on, but, of course, we were in the queue for having LEDs put in. But,
and not for the decorative lights, not yet.
well, I don't know what the deal is, but they were saying they were coming down for a job next week. So I don't really know, and he couldn't give me much details, but he works for On Target, and they said they're coming down to replace lights. So
Are part of the wiring completed, I guess, is Don's
the
question.
wiring,
That is. On Target is the subcontractor for CMP, but you're talking about the Cobra heads.
I'm not really sure, because my
No,
buddy
that's.
is that what it is?
That's exactly
heads?
what it
Oh.
is.
Oh, okay.
Not
You
the
know,
decorative.
not the decorative
That's
ones.
the
Yeah.
LED conversion.
But
that
the
we're looking at.
decorative's
they're
not
doing-
working at this point
Well,
on,
they're not
in
working
the
at all.
village.
Not yet. We had some issues with, we had Dave come out, Dave Curtis. He came out and was wiring them. I gave him the diagram, and there were some issues, but he's gone through those issues now. He's doing tests to see which ones are giving issues. I haven't followed up with him yet because he was still working on it, before the holidays, and then the holidays came in. I was sick from New Year's Eve till Monday, Sunday, basically. So all I can say is that Dave's been working on it. CMP is going to hook it up as soon as that he's figured out everything. But I'm really interested to see what On Target's doing.
It's all the LED conversions
Is that what it is?
for all our street lights, yep.
Well, so there you go. That's
But not for the decorative lights.
Not at this point. It will be.
No,
at some
they
point.
will eventually
Oh,
when
yeah.
they get the kits,
That's-
but I don't believe they have those yet.
Yeah, which won't do any good if they're not working at this
That's
point.
right.
anyway,
Right.
So, yeah,
right.
they need to be
And
functioning.
and Dave said he's, so far all the stuff that he's tested so far is testing out great. So that means there's no broken wires on the ground yet. So, but during the construction, I was there. If they hit any of the conduits, and none of the wiring was ever disturbed. So,
It's old. That's old stuff, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And let me, on the other note, as far as downtown on Village Street, the lights, the traffic signal lights.
Yeah.
The wiring in the ground is bad. If you look at the intersection of 196 and Village Street, there's probably a piece of tar missing about like that, where there's probably about eight or so wires going through there, and a lot of them are broken. That's all tied into the loops, and the loops aren't really working, so it's gone back to default. I've talked to Jennifer Williams from AvCog, and she's trying to come up with some money somewhere, somehow, to try to alleviate, to try to get those like onto a camera system, like we have down on Canal and 196 in Maine. It's very pricey, so we're looking, I asked her for, roundabout figures between 50 and 70,000 to redo that whole intersection.
But we actually got that done on the other intersection pretty reasonably, right? And some of that was used equipment that actually went into the 196, 125. It was actually,
30 grand.
yep. Now, I guess it's maybe a different discussion tonight. We won't hold it in too long, but I mean, isn't the financials as far as the responsibility for the intersection is a lot of ours and the state's. It's actually combined, right, as far as to the lights? Because I know we were somewhat responsible for.
We pay for anything going on with those traffic lights.
Yeah. So the money that you're actually asking for would be something to actually offset or help us with that
Right.
change, right? I guess at some point in time, if it's that big of a concern, we actually probably ought to get actual numbers. You know what I mean, more so than just guesstimates, and figure out. Because I mean, we did spend some money there just the last couple of years to try to get the crosswalks done, and
Right.
at that point in time, I don't think any of this was actually addressed or actually brought to our attention. I mean,
Yeah.
which is unfortunate,
And we've got a project going next
Yeah.
year where DOT is going to be grinding from Topsom to Lewiston. So they're taking like 7/8 of an inch or 5/8 of an inch out and putting that real rugged, asphalt down. So even if we were to redo the loops, they're going through and regrinding anyway. So a lot of those loops might get, affected again.
Now, the camera systems are the way to go. I mean, that's basically what anybody's doing, but it just would have been nice when we actually looked at some of
Right.
that stuff to actually have more of a better evaluation of what was happening there, that's
Right.
all. But either way, I mean, with that being said, it'd be nice just to actually get a full analysis of what it would take.
Yeah.
And that way there, we can look at it, and whether it's coming up to a budget season or trying to figure out the fundings on how to correct it, It has to be right. I mean, they have to work.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
Safety-wise, it's a big factor.
Because
so.
I've had a lot of complaints where, the lights either way, the turn signal lights, they run no matter what. So at midnight, when there's only one car parked there, you got to wait for the turning signals to go, and then you can go. So people call it frustration all the time. It's just, well, the thing's been set back to default, so it's only going to run on that one program. So,
As long as it's running in general is good, but I mean, the
As long
idea
as
of
it's
running
running.
more efficiently would be
Right.
better. The,
I have a question.
Too good, yeah.
Okay, while we're on the subject of lights, I had an issue with the light at the high school.
Yep.
That several times I've sat there and it won't give you a left-hand green to turn up to Route 9 direction, like coming from like they're the village direction,
Mhm.
and then it's like people are running the light because they sit through like 3 cycles without getting an arrow,
Right.
and so people just start to dash across traffic, and it seems like a real danger issue there. I don't know if it's a bug in how it's set up or what the problem is, but somebody needs to take a look at that, and I've seen
Yeah.
people online complaining about it too.
We'll look at that. I've had those complaints before, and I've sent them over.
Okay, I just want to make sure it gets looked into. 'Cause
Yeah,
I
we
see
pay for the charge, and then
people rush through the light.
they'll cycle it through, and then they say there's no issues with it, so.
Yeah, I think there's some kind of a glitch.
It's strange. Even 125 and 196 actually go through that intersection a lot, and it's consistent as it should be. Sometimes it actually goes, it does just some strange things.
The
and that-
camera sometimes picks up on a shadow.
Yeah.
And will signal, and there's nothing there. You know, the guy, I spent an hour and a half with him the last time we had issues there. We've extended the signal time to get rid of the Canal Street traffic. And then it goes to how long it takes one car to pull up to this
Yep. There's a lot of
signal.
lot
There's
of
a lot of
variables.
variables that take into effect. But if the sun's in a certain spot and it flashes something off, a reflection off something, or either a truck or another car,
Yeah.
it'll signal the light, and there's a bunch of variables.
It's you sit there and it lets 3
Yeah.
cycles go through, and it just never gives you a green arrow. You
Yeah.
think, is this broken? Am I stuck out here in the middle of traffic?
Exactly.
Can't turn out of the way.
Yeah. What is the last night in meeting? One of the things that was discussed was actually snow cleanup, of course, which is always an issue this time of year. And I think everybody understood the idea of postponing it until after the potential storm that we might have got.
Right.
Does the town still actually, like for last night's cleanup, or was that actually posted online, or actually? Remember years ago they used to stick to
Right.
the
We
post.
actually, I told Buttons on Monday that we're going to be doing it early in the day, so he had called, and it was posted on the website that we're going to be doing. And we only had 2 cars that were on the
Yeah.
street, so
Yeah.
we did fairly well.
Yep.
The public, and then come early in the morning, they had to move their vehicles. They left pretty early for work, and cleanup went without really a hitch.
Yep.
We didn't put the signs out. We just put everything out, public notice. We did it online, and it seemed to work out just fine.
Yep.
And
I
let
guess
the public know that we do it like 8 inches or more per storm, or accumulative.
Yep.
Just so, if there's a small bank in there, it's not going to get done, because it's not really that much of a inconvenience or a hazard. But, when we get up to the 8, 10, 12-inch storms, or 2 4-inch storms, we'll get those things cleaned up.
I think just the communication part would be the big factor. I think
Yeah.
everybody's understanding. Well, it's just more the idea of actually posting it and communicating. The stick-in signs just be good for the people that actually don't go on and look at any social media
True,
or
yeah.
Facebook. And I think there's still quite a few people like that. So
Yeah.
I guess anything we can do just to kind of keep the business owners and the people up to base of where
Yeah.
we're at. And it is strange since we've actually changed our parking ordinances that a lot of people do have different judgment on when they ought to park on the side of the road
Right.
and not. And I think as we get more consistent, I guess it would be easier for people to identify
Yeah.
that if the plows are running, that means they have to move.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
So there is no requirement to wait till the funding comes in before the Pinewood Road goes out to bid, so it gets on this construction season's radar for somebody, correct? You're just waiting on
We
stuff
need
from
to wait for
over?
the design.
Deck sheets, maybe.
Just
Yeah,
waiting for
that's
the
it.
design. We're just waiting for, for what they've done for as far
Right.
as locating all the culverts, how many
Yep.
of
Yep.
this size, that size, how much material is going to be taken out. They've done all the gradation, so where the road's going to be picked up or where it's going to be dropped. But we're just waiting for that to come back.
Did they give you a timeline on that, Diane?
No, I just emailed Mandy this afternoon because I needed some information for the bond application, but I'll follow up tomorrow to find out when she thinks
just
the
like to get
packet
it
will
on the
be ready to
construction.
go out
Yeah.
to bid.
Anything that puts us ahead of everybody else actually means that we're not waiting at the end of the line.
So you have no problem with us doing that without coming back to you first to get permission?
If we
Jim?
need a formalized motion to allow you to be able to put it out to bid, I would force that issue and make that recommendation and motion right here,
Perfect.
if you need that.
Yes, let's do it.
So, I need a second for that motion.
I'll second that motion. Actually, at least, it'd be interesting to go out to bid. I know most contractors are
Yep.
still have overlap from last year. They didn't get completed, so I think it's going to be a
But it
challenge.
was just like
to get
with my
someone-
paving, where I was able to award it early, like
Yep.
in May. Made a world of difference. Everything was paved before snow flies.
No,
So,
absolutely, no. Anything you do to get things going early is always better, I mean, so.
Exactly.
Any other discussion on that motion? All in favor?
Order passed, 5-0.
And it would be nice to know if there's going to be a financial difference on what we were allowed versus what was going to be done, that we actually know that ahead of time, you know, so.
Yeah.
I mean, it's early the better, that's all, you know, so.
I think we'll be in that, in the ballpark, because there was a small buffer there, but I think we'll be fine.
Hopefully a lot less, but I mean, it's
Yeah.
just one of those things that's always, you just don't know, right?
All right.
Thank you,
Thank you.
sir. Next item, Twyla?
Order 2020-03, the tax acquired property redemption.
So on December 20th, we foreclosed on 5 pieces of property. So the next step in the process is to have you authorize me to send out a 30-day redemption letter in which the taxpayers are notified by mail that they have 30 days to redeem their property by paying all of the outstanding taxes and fees owed, and then before the town takes steps to dispose of the property. And what we do in that case is we issue a quitclaim deed, once they do, back to the owner. This year it's going to be a little bit different because of the new law, so we have to give them certain information, which I included in the packet. We have to give them a notice of intent to sell and an application for an alternative sale. So there's a lot of information in the packet that we need to do differently this year. We have had a couple of the property owners come in and talk to us, and they're just waiting for your vote tonight, and they're going to come in and pay all the taxes in full.
Pay all the taxes in full, because there's some pretty big numbers there, a couple of them.
Yeah.
So at this point, may I,
Please.
I mean, I'd make the motion just for discussion if you
Sure.
prefer to
Anita
do
will
that.
take a second to his motion.
I'll second.
First and second. Okay. Cool.
The, so at this point in time, those are actually have to be paid 100%
Yes,
to
they do.
actually come off this program.
In order for us to issue a quitclaim, yes, they have to be paid at 100%.
And if someone's not able to actually pay the 100% of it at that point in time, it actually proceeds to the next step, in a sense, right? I mean,
Yes.
just so people are aware of how that process works. That's all.
Any other questions or all in favor on that motion?
Order passed, 5-0.
Next item?
Order 2020-04, the budget workshop schedule.
Like Tuesdays are going to be a busy night.
Notice you've scheduled it right to begin right after I come back from Hawaii, so that's nice.
Using the same format as last year?
What I'd like to know is, do you want the budget booklets like I've provided in the past, or do you want just everything electronically?
I would like to think that we could do electronically and
I
just
think we
actually,
could try it.
yeah.
It'd be a lot less work for us here, and, I'll provide you with the budget explanations like I normally do in the actual budget.
So we're going to get something similar from Twyla that basically gets to a link. That link actually gets
Exactly.
it. and we
Yep.
would-
Yep.
I think that would work.
They'll save us a lot of time if we
Changes
do
would be
that.
much quicker and much
Yep.
more. It just gets tough when you start putting a bunch of different papers into your folder and
And you put
know
two
which
notes
one's
on
right
it.
and which one's wrong, and
Good.
would save a couple trees maybe. So
Except for the finance director and myself, we'll have our big binders.
It would
we
be,
refer to
that
it
was where I was kind of landing on this, is because I know you had to keep notes of all the discussions to what's on the list or what's not on the list kind of
Yes.
situation.
can we, may I, Chair?
Please.
Is it possible to actually do, in some years back, actually have some more history if we're doing electronically, so we could do like the 2 or 3 year comparison? Is that going to work with the new software easily, or so we can actually go see what a trending change over like a?
You're going to see it in one document.
Wow, imagine that. That'd be cool.
Make the
It's always
Right?
nice to actually go back and just see what the history was on a certain account.
Computer
So,
maker. Is that what this is?
so
Amazing what we can do.
it's good.
Where is the capital improvement?
That is, did I not put that on there?
Maybe it is. I'm just.
Yes, it's on the 24th. It's the last one, presentation of capital improvement plan,
24.
March 24th.
Okay.
Oh, there it is.
And that's
Yep.
everybody, same format. That would be the
Yes.
one snag from last year to try to get school to actually put
They're working
with
on it.
years.
They're
I know
working
that-
on it in our
that-
same format, so we'll hopefully,
Fire department too,
And
or water departments, but I mean.
can I,
it's in the water department.
can I also make the suggestion that we try to get our finance director to actually make that presentation so we can stay within a certain time frame? That was a meeting that kind of ran long too. What I don't
Like the
want to,
presentation of what, the
the
capital?
capital improvement plan.
Yes.
Yes. I mean, I know, and I don't want to throw anybody under the bus because we gave Alan Willett limited direction last year, but it was a long period, and I don't think it was
Yeah.
necessary for him to have to read the entire document.
Exactly. Yep, that would be
You know, I
fine.
think that would actually be
She can
something.
present it, and then if you have questions, the department head will be there to answer it,
Right.
anything. Yep.
I think that Q&A was a lot
agree.
better use
Yep.
of Alan's time,
Yep.
is why I was saying it that way. No, if this is actually what worked last year, what I would also say, when it gets closer to that time frame, the intent last year was if you had questions on content for the ones that were coming up, try to get them in advance to actually make best use of the time for the workshop, so staff and management could prepare for it. That said, I would also recommend we empower our finance director that if something should be cut, that it actually is cut at her level to eliminate those kind of things for discussion. I know there was 5 or 6 items last year that centered around new programs or services or personnel, that if they're in there because they pass the manager's discretion. I would rather focus on those 6 items rather than things that she could have cut or would have made a position on cutting. So I'm of the mindset that if I'm seeing it's there, it's because you believe it needs to be there.
Right.
If that's just for the general consumption for the other new players.
Mhm.
Anything else? No? Okay. That takes no action, or we need to confirm the schedule? Twyla?
Let's confirm it.
Yeah, we always did vote
Okay,
to
I need a
confirm it.
motion to confirm the schedule as
So
presented.
moved.
I need a second.
Second that.
All in favor?
Vote 5-0. Order passed.
Thank you. Next.
Next item is Order 2020-05, the Wellness Grant.
Hello, Kayla Tierney, Finance Director. Going to be presenting on the Wellness Grant. One of the benefits afforded to town employees as MMEHT plan participants is the Wellness Incentive Grant Program. It allows us to do things for our employees under this program, which is granted for a year, and they're on a calendar year. So as December has ended and we're coming into January, this is to present the 2020 Wellness Grant Initiative. This program is to encourage that the Health Trust offers financial support to participating groups with approved wellness programs. The maximum grants per the coordinator training manual is $40 per year per employee covered under the Health Trust health insurance programs. So we have been involved in this program for several years, and we've seen such a positive response from it over the years from our employees. And we have a wellness committee with different departments that have their input from what they're looking for wellness. And right now we are having 50 health plan participants. So for the 2020 calendar year, the maximum grant application is $2,000. So I've been appointed as program coordinator for the wellness program, seeking authorization to apply and accept the funds from the Maine Municipal Employees Health Trust for the 2020 Wellness Grant Program, which breaks down to $500 per quarter.
I'll make a motion for discussion.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
And that's-
Discussion.
It's a straight-up grant. It's no matching. It's actually all, for this particular grant, it's actually all, there's no matching funds from the town at all as far as for that.
No, there isn't, and it's kind of on a reimbursement kind of program. So we submit our budget each quarter of what we're intending to do. A lot of the courses under the Health Trust are offered free if the instructors come down and teach it here, and there's other pieces of it that we could have outside. Speakers come in, we could have other kinds of healthy related activities offered under the grant program, and we break it down on a quarterly basis, where most recently we've been doing one program each month, and we usually do it around like lunchtime, so it's a bit of a lunch and learn program.
I think it's a great idea, definitely. I mean, I think it's awesome. Actually, it's the benefit for everybody, right?
One of the council's goals for the coming year that was just recently added by you quite specifically was employee recognition. I know in Lewiston they actually do something through this grant where they actually do, like we did last year, part of the funding pays for something like we did at Beaver Park. So there's potential there to be able to tie it into wellness associated with that for one of our goals to be able to assist with that. It was kind of a creative thing because it may not possibly fund all of it, but it actually putting in with Lewiston, they have a municipal association, employees pay a piece, wellness pays a piece, and you can do more with the funding. That it's very timely for doing this in the summer months to be able to do that, or outside of that, and if we wanted to be able to go with that further for what we were able to do last year. Anything else on the wellness? It's an awesome program. It's money well spent to actually help with health and well-being, and it's specifically intended as a side benefit. The reason the trust actually promotes it is because healthy lifestyle choices makes a workforce that has less insurance claims as well. It's tied to the benefits. Yes. Thank you. All in favor? Yes, you have a question?
No.
All in favor? Sorry. Forgot the point of order.
Passed 5-0.
Thank you, Dawn. I was hoping it was the redirect. Next.
Order 2020-06, council working rules.
I'm going to defer to you because you did the legwork, if you don't mind.
I wrote a kind of a summary of what changes I made, and that's on page, I think 35, somewhere around there of your items. When I looked at this, the focus was just simply the fact that the agenda that we actually use, the items on the agenda, didn't reflect in the council working rules.
Right.
And I used that opportunity to fix that. In doing so, it changed some of the things that were said, and then it made them redundant, so I ended up making more change. So just to go from the beginning, if you look at page 36 is the first change I ever made on it, and that's just changing. I know there's a Wednesday deadline instead of a Thursday deadline, which you choose to keep. So that was that change. And then, let me see if I can keep going here. And then when you go into the agenda itself, on page 37, it had in there in the working rules any business and council response. In actuality, what it is in our agenda is audience participation and response for new items. So we changed that. And then on the next word, just trying to make it clearer, the town council shall, that's not right. The council may change the agenda order and may take up any agenda item out of order upon majority vote of the councilors present. Rather than just say they shall have the right, it just said that they may go ahead and do that. And I put in there upon a majority vote of the council as president, which is really standard practice, but if you change an item, I know informally you've said, is everybody okay with that? But it ought to be in there kind of formally to do it. So that, and I changed, in the next page, I changed the word councilman to council member, since we were doing that, trying to make it a little more relevant. On page 39, emergency meetings, notice shall be given in the best practical manner, including telephonically, and I put and electronically. Whatever works out, basically. On the next page, part of page 39, it changes the wording in here, so persons desiring to address the town council shall follow the procedures outlined in the conduct of meetings. So we don't say it 2 or 3 times in 2 or 3 different ways. If everybody's had a chance to go through it, it makes it easier because I can't really explain everything as I go. Public comment, the purpose of public comment period is to furnish new or undisclosed information or viewpoints. This time shall not be considered a public hearing. That is, part of that is taken from something that's said later in it, and got it up here and where it's more relevant. And I believe I added the part that says shall not be considered a public hearing, so that there isn't the temptation to debate the issue. Scheduled public comment. I don't want to go through all of that, but it's on page 41. That was the idea of audience. It incorporates the words audience participation and response for new items, and got rid of the duplication of effort in stating who are residents and who can speak.
Is it the rationale for elimination a couple pages later?
Yes.
That's the one that was, okay, that's what I was missing.
Yeah.
The connectivity.
I think it's just important to note that a lot of it was just actually
It's just
cleaning
cleaning
up
up.
what's there. It actually didn't take away any opportunity for the public to speak
No.
or any opportunity for anybody to participate in the meeting any different than they did before. So,
In fact, it probably made it clear that they could.
I
That
mean,
was the idea.
I'm definitely in favor if you don't want to go through every step, because I think
don't.
most of us read through it, to actually just make a
The only
motion
thing
to
I saw
accept.
was that little mistaken typo in the front.
Yeah.
Fix that.
Yeah, I can.
Did anybody have any specific questions on content in your readings? That was mine, and you just covered it right there, Don. That's why I was, the strikeouts on section 8 on.
Yeah, that was the new business thing.
That was that one I didn't understand because I missed the connectivity on the first one. Okay.
Was there a second to the motion?
I made a
Or
motion
did
to
we make-
accept, and
Okay,
Yes.
John, second?
Yes.
Or
You had
Jeff
first and
did?
second. All in favor if there are no other questions then?
Good.
good job, Don.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Passed.
So you can follow the Mr.
It
Garrison.
doesn't mean I'm in charge of this stuff anymore.
Yes, you are. Yeah, you just voluntold yourself.
Yeah, that's all I could think of was him.
Good company with Mr. Garrison, I assure you.
Order 2020-07, the fee schedule amendment for notaries.
Read your recommendation. Why don't you summarize it just for the camera?
Sure. We've been offering notary fees for a while, and so we just want to make it consistent that we provide this service anyway to the residents. So it's for municipal and non-municipal documents. It's $5. That appears to be sufficient, not overly expensive. I noticed today that Brunswick charges $8. It's being applied here now to all documents. That's one of the changes. And we perform marriage ceremonies here at the town hall when requested. So since we have quite a few more notaries that are available to assist with that, we'll be offering that fee too at $50, and it's not included before. So we're adding a fee for performing wedding ceremonies at the town hall. And removing the excludes weddings by town clerk, just to make it consistent.
Make that motion to accept.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Order passed, 5-0.
Thank you. Next.
Order 2020-08 to set a public hearing for January 21 for the manufacturing medical marijuana establishment license for Crystal Spring Healing Alternatives, LLC.
Did you say manufacturing?
I heard manufacturing.
Yeah.
I didn't see that.
It is just, he has another application on file for retail store, but that's not ready yet, and that part of the building needs to be finished before that we would consider that application complete. So at this point, the manufacturing medical marijuana establishment that's being done, I think on the second floor, is the one that's ready to go.
That has been through the planning board.
It has been planning board. Yeah, I was just surprised because I didn't, the order's not written as
Couple months ago.
manufacturing, so I didn't actually read into it that way, but.
Behind the
Oh,
mill.
yeah.
Okay.
I mean, behind the apartments.
Yeah, gotcha.
But that actually has already, I mean, regardless of it's actually met the criteria, so it's just
It
for
is.
us to actually move it forward to the public hearing.
And it still needs the licensing
Yep.
things, yeah.
We're going to make sure that the ad itself has the word manufacturing in it.
So does that actually, does the motion actually need to
Sure. Yeah.
correct that to the manufacturing? I mean, because I know it does play separate rules than
does.
the traditional. So I make the motion with that order for the public hearing for the medical marijuana manufacturing establishment, Crystal Springs Healing Alternatives.
Need a second.
Second that.
Any other questions on the topic? All in favor?
Order passed, 5-0.
Now, may I ask the question,
Please.
Chair? With manufacturing, this is the first time we actually have that proceeding through the council, I believe, right? The manufacturing role of it?
This is the
Is
first.
that going to be different from what we've seen in the past? I mean, as far as for how it plays out with us, or is it basically the same process, just,
Same process, isn't
It's the
it?
same ordinance, and you have the same inspections, but I believe that when the fire chief goes, he probably has different criteria for manufacturing, or the CEO may also have different criteria, but they are required to make their inspections and their recommendations to you.
that's already been done?
And it has, for this manufacturing one.
It's not different for you.
Okay.
What you have to approve is the same process as if you would for a retail store.
Now, the question I asked, and maybe I ought to know this, is there was actually an application fee for the retail space. Is there a separate application for the manufacturing?
There is. He
Chris?
paid both, so he's
Okay.
paid his $250 for this one, and he did pay in September the $250 for the retail store, although it's going to be a little delay still for that.
Any nuances working this through the planning board that we should be aware of? That when I
It's
went
been a
through?
while. It didn't have any problems. I know that the building appeared to be very safe. There's a lot of concrete. And he walked us all through it. They're cleaning up the lot and repainting the building, so they're going to look respectable back there.
And, Chair, may I,
Sure, please.
now, is this actually would be the first legitimate manufacturing in this community? Even
Yes.
though there's actually been said that there's hundreds, I mean, I guess, but.
Not hundreds, but yeah.
Again, I mean, we only go by what we hear, right? So, I mean, it's interesting that the process, I'm kind of curious to see how it goes through, so.
There's a whole bunch of, they tried to explain all the extraction process to it. So, it's kind of like over here.
What
There's a
you'll
lot to it.
see is the renewals will appear under your consent agenda for any renewals, like Lisbon Cannabis or any of those that have already been,
But that's for retail, not so much manufacturing, so.
or any new one will appear down in the bottom under your orders, resolutions, and ordinances when it's a new license.
Okay.
And the renewals will then appear under your consent agenda after that.
Just like we
So
do
you can
the
tell
other
the
ones.
difference.
Yep. That's interesting, because I know going, sitting through the planning board meetings, there was a lot of different criteria for the manufacturing than there was for the retail, so. Interesting.
Most of our items for the planning board have to do with the zoning of it and there's no restriction in the town on how many, although there can be. The only thing that is specifically addressed as prohibited is recreational so far.
Right.
And that's in the ordinances.
That's coming.
Well, it's not coming unless we do something.
There's nothing in
No,
that.
it's coming from the state to be able to be addressed. is my
Right,
point
right.
that I- right.
The, may I also?
Oh, it already is.
The, with the manufacturing part of it, is there actually more state involvement than there is with the retail space as far as for medical marijuana? I mean, is there an inspection process through the state that we actually have to be aware of for that to be allowed, or is it just our local ordinance? I mean, I'm just kind of curious. Is it,
Well, they have to,
Back to the
they have to comply with the state requirements to get the local ordinance, so.
well, that's what I'm asking. Is there actually, through the planning board, was there actually state involvement?
No,
Was there
I
any
just
blessing?
remember what's required, but
There's
there's
an
no-
application, though, in our packet for this that you can check. I
So
don't think I
when
have it with us tonight, but there's
Dennis's
an
checkoffs
application.
would have a state box that
Yes,
actually met
yes.
that criteria.
yes.
Yeah, we could probably look into that before.
I was just curious because I know that there's the three different levels. I mean, this bringing back a lot of old history, but the three different levels, right? The retail,
Right.
the manufacturing, and the testing, right?
Right.
And the manufacturers seem to have the most criteria as far as for what needed to be done and what hurdles to jump over. But I was just
I
wondering.
do know there are state requirements for it, and I do know that the applicant at the time, when he was talking to the planning board, when we did a site visit, was talking about all the hoops he had to leap through to meet those standards.
So I assume that we actually, in that packet, actually have something saying the state's actually approved and signed off on it.
Yes.
Yes.
At the next council meeting, you'll find that it'll be here on our desk, and you
Okay.
can look at it ahead of time if you
Okay.
like.
Just curious. I mean, first time going through it, so it's kind of unique.
Next item, Tyler.
Other business, council committee reports.
Counselor Albert's missing from school planning board. Still says my
It meets
name, but-
Thursday night.
Yes.
It's going to be a workshop.
LDC.
Tomorrow night here, we're actually having a meeting. Should be some good stuff. We actually, Brett seems really gung-ho, ready to rock and roll, so hopefully we can actually have some people. We're trying to recruit some more last night at our meeting to actually have some people that actually have interest to come in and actually voice their concerns and help a direction of the LDC. So hopefully, I think he has some neat ideas and some good energy to get things rocking and rolling. So, if
Can I
you're
add
interested,
something?
please
It's
come.
very nice to see his level of participation as a staff member. That's one of the items that the LDC has really needed. And
Absolutely.
I noticed he adopted an agenda, or put out an agenda that had time limits on it. So that's to keep Fern in line.
Absolutely. It's good.
Conservation will meet later in the month, and I'll present then. Recreation, Council Colby's absent tonight. County, there's nothing at this point. Library.
Nothing new to report. Go read a book.
Town manager.
So I received an email from a member of the Topsom Solar Advocates, and they're an ad hoc group that's been working with the Topsom Board of Selectmen on issuing a non-binding RFP for a municipal solar array. So she's requested to see if they could come and present their findings to this council on solar array projects.
Diane made me aware of this. I saw the letter earlier this morning, and I have been solicited repeatedly in my capacity at Lewiston associated with this topic because of that legislation that's
Exactly.
listed. What I don't understand is what the end game for them is to be able to be putting themselves in a position to be perceived as an authority on this topic. I would think that we could hear from a consultant ourselves, because they're soliciting for free, to be able to say what the benefits to a community is, and or Brett in his capacity to be able to speak to this. I don't want to discourage associated with somebody coming in to be able to offer. I just don't know what they're looking for an end game other than self-promotion.
Isn't this an item that's probably more properly bought first before the LDC?
Potentially.
I mean,
I was
because
thinking the
I know
same
there's
thing, or
interest.
actually at least filtered through Brett.
Indoor workshop of some
Yep.
sort, right?
Yep. Yep.
So by all means, I would,
Could I make a
Please.
recommendation that we actually kind of, is this something that we feel that would be more that Brett would be able to
Yeah.
filter through and actually determine whether
Exactly, yeah.
what the resources we ought to put to it, and
Yep.
then kind of go from there versus the idea
I
of
would
council.
rather have Brett actually vet that and actually make
Yeah.
his presentation rather than coming from an ad hoc group.
And if he feels that it's better served going through them, I would take his recommendation to either
Well,
deal with
I
it
just
or
know that
Steve.
that's been some of the goals and possibilities in the future, so
Absolutely.
either way.
It's all good stuff. It's just the idea of making sure it's the right stuff. That's
And
all.
then there are incentives in a very short period of window, because
There
as
is.
everybody goes towards green initiatives for power producing, the quicker companies actually secure that to be able to meet that standard, the less likely they are to roll out incentives to the communities after that fact. That there are people that are lining up to be able to do it. One criticism that I've heard, and a potential issue that's been brought up, is if we have bonding on a specific property, we want to be extremely conscious of what we do for solar on that, because that will negate our tax exempt status associated with that bonding. So that is a specific item. It doesn't relate, because I can't think of a situation where we actually have, but the high school. If we were going to put a solar array on the high school, there's bonding associated with that. We could potentially negate the high school's tax-free status on the bonding.
Not bad.
Because it's actually a revenue source.
Yeah.
That's good to hear. I mean, at least we know the details.
Feels like something that needs to be fixed.
And the only other thing I have is we received a dividend check from MMA's Risk Services for unemployment in the amount of $19,290.
Cash it.
It's deposited already.
Is that for services not needed?
Yes, right, it's for an overage in our excess balance in our unemployment account. It's the economy. That's all I have.
Next item, Twyla.
Is under appointments. And you have a couple. Order 2020-09 is a planning board correction and appointments to return Lisa Ward to associate position, but to the term 2022, and to move Chris Houston to the regular member position to a term 2022.
Mr. Chairman, since I made the fouled up,
No, it was me.
well, we both did last time, I'd like to make
Want that motion?
Yes.
You're the second right
All
here.
right. That's fine with me.
All in favor?
Order passed 5-0.
There's a lot going on that night.
Yeah, it was a
if I
legitimate
remember right.
mistake.
Order 2020-10, the Recreation Committee, confirmation and reappointment that Cara McVeigh is an alternate member to the term 2022, and to reappoint Chris Cloutier as the regular member to a term for 2022.
That's just making it clear, because we only had Kara on there at the last meeting, and Chris wanted to be reappointed as a regular member. So I wanted to make it clear that he's the regular and she's the alternate.
I need a motion on
I
that.
make that motion.
Second. I get the second. All in favor?
Order passed 5-0. And order 2020-11, a confirmation for an alternate code enforcement officer and plumbing inspector for Brett Richardson.
If we go through with this appointment, then Brett can get all the training for free through the state. So currently, we don't have an alternate code enforcement officer or plumbing inspector, and we really should, in case something should ever happen to Dennis. It really wasn't an issue in the past, because when Ryan Layton was here, he had all the training, because he did that for Bowden. But since he left, we have nobody on staff to fill in, and we're obligated to provide somebody for the town of Sabatis. So it's not going to hurt to have somebody in-house to have this, and it's one of my goals, is to have more than one person to know how to do these jobs.
Can I make an ask for discussion before a motion? Is it the best resources to be able to have the economic development person be that designee? I've heard that question asked.
Yes, because of, he works really close with the code enforcement officer because of the land use and a lot of different things that are going on with economic development, and it makes perfect sense for that department to work closely with the code enforcement officer.
Can I ask what his motivation is, how he feels about it?
I talked to him about it, he has no problem with it. And plus, he also
know
has
there's
the master's in planning as well, so.
Yes. There's a lot of, that's true. There is, I think there's a lot of coursework to do, is there not?
Dennis is trying to get me that information. They've actually moved this office now. It's under the State Fire Marshal's office.
If I may,
No, please.
I mean, I just have a genuine concern about definitely we need to have a backup, whether it's actually someone that we are able to get on retainer from a different community or not, if there was a situation. I just have a genuine concern about the idea of the new appointment of Brett and his eagerness to do what he wants to do and what he even outlined last night. I don't think it's really fair for us to ask everything we're asking of him and his goals of this upcoming year to actually put this on him and expect actually to get the other stuff out of him also. I mean, I just don't. I mean, if Brett was a 5-year, tenured person where he was fully in the groove and actually has already met with all his businesses and actually got everything going, I'd feel much more comfortable for him actually taking time out of his schedule to actually achieve this. But I just don't think it was in his hiring description. That's all. I mean, and again, I mean, I think Brett would do anything you asked him to do. I mean, I think he'd do it and smile, and I think he's very knowledgeable. I think Brett probably has the capabilities of taking any position in the town office.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Because he's just that type of person. But I think it's just a lot to ask of somebody, myself, personally. But I mean, I don't think this isn't a one-day course. This is an ongoing to actually get, with not having a background in construction, to get fully up to speed and not just passing the test, but actually being to the point where he could be full-fledged code enforcer. I think is actually a process that's going to take some time. And my biggest concern is the idea of we had a, and again, I'll say this in public, and we actually just have to be careful that we don't overtask our new employees to the point where we actually expected more than what we asked initially. And that's my biggest concern. There's just a lot that we ask of him to achieve in the first 6 months in a year of his job coming on new. I'd hate to think that we are piling on something that actually is going to be a commitment that allows him not to achieve what his initial goals were. And again, I haven't spoke to Brett about this at all.
Right.
Just initially from the outside, I mean, it's to actually ask anybody that's really, very excited about their role of what they want to do, and actually have Brett's one of these guys where you can tell he has a 6-month vision, a year vision of what he needs to do and how he needs to achieve it. He was telling us last night about breaking down, knowing the number of businesses he has to meet every month to actually achieve meeting all the businesses within the first year. I would just hate to say, okay, in the meantime, what you need to do is you need to become a code enforcer also. So you need to go get all this training, you need to pass a test. To me, that actually isn't fair, but that's myself thinking about it. I just don't know if this actually is the best alternative.
I remember being here when Dennis did it, and it took him some time, although he was the codes enforcement officer and got his qualifications over, I think, 6 months was the time frame. I would not like to see him as an alternate codes enforcement officer very often. You know what I mean?
No, you wouldn't. We need to have that
Not when
in
Dennis goes
place
on vacation or something like that.
when he goes on vacation, or if we had something like happened last year when he got sick and he was out for an extended period of time. We had nobody to
But the
fill in.
training to be part of that, to meet that requirement, it doesn't make a difference if you're a code enforcer for one day or for the full year.
I know.
It's actually the same criteria, Again, my biggest concern is the idea of the ask of I've seen his qualifications that we asked him when we hired him. I didn't see that on the list. You know what I mean? And again, he may be all good for it. And maybe it's all excited about it, because I think he's one of these people that is a team player. And as he mentioned last night in his meeting, everybody in the team needs to have a role, and that's a role you need to do, and you need to do it well. You know what I mean? And the idea of when you start tasking on more roles, you can't actually always ask for the same outcome of that one person. And so, again, I would just want to make sure that we actually are not asking too much of people to take on a role, because the code enforcer isn't like, a simple role. I mean, the other question
No,
I
it's
had.
not, but it's not something he would be doing on a regular basis either. And because that position works more closely with that department, with Dennis, I mean, I've seen it. I've seen it since
There's
I've
no-
been here.
No question about it.
There's a lot of overlapping there, and I just think it would be the perfect fit,
Yeah.
more than anything
The-
else.
the other
More
con-
than somebody not on site, that
The other-
you're
the other-
never going to know if,
The other concern I have a little bit too is again, it may not happen, but if him being an economic person working with a business to actually do facade grants where you're actually working on doing improvements to your business, actually him going outside, changing his hats, walking in, saying, now I'm going to be an inspector of this project also, is there a
but
conflict?
that would only happen if he's, I mean, in that,
Again, it's just one of those things
exactly,
where
but
you.
if Dennis is going to be on vacation, everybody knows he's going to be on vacation at a certain time, so you're only talking a week at a time. So that all can be scheduled so it happens when Dennis is on. I don't see that as a conflict.
Yeah.
I mean, if he was gone for an extended period of time, and we got to figure that out. But right now, we have nobody in-house that,
He wouldn't be doing electrical inspections, though.
no, we already have somebody that does
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
No, Ron.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So-
And again, my biggest concern is, and it may be just
Ron
not,
Roy
I would
does
just,
He
I
does
would
both?
just hate to think that we're actually, pulling the resources from someone that we're really asking a lot out of initially.
And
being-
if I thought that, Fern, I wouldn't bring it to
Yeah.
you. Honestly, I wouldn't, because he's going to have to go at his own pace to learn this, and if it's too much, then
Yeah, I would not,
I wouldn't do it.
advocate at all, put a timeline on anybody.
Exactly,
Yeah.
'Cause
exactly.
Where I'm countering on this, the fact is there anybody else on staff that would be able to fill that void? And that's why I asked the question, is he the best fit? If that's the answer, yes. Rather than risk the embarrassment from another meeting's misquote, because they left, that's good. Public Works, could Randy do that kind of capacity? He has knowledge of construction. Is that in his wheelhouse? Or is it Brett because of the nature of?
I think it's more Brett because of the nature of what he's doing out in the community and with economic development and dealing with the code enforcement officer. He deals more with that than Randy would.
Okay.
I guess what we need to do, and again, it's really up to
Yeah.
you, because that's really between, the personnel part of it, but, I mean, I would like to really,
In the
I-
short term, I would actually counter that we probably ought to reach out to an area community to be able to allow, if something does present itself with Lewiston or Topsom,
That
giving
was-
somebody on
that
a
would be my actually ask
as-need
to,
basis.
to actually see if there
Just to
is
give us some
alternatives.
flexibility so we're not having that situation present itself again. I think that makes sense too.
And I would recommend the idea of actually having Brett and Dennis get together and actually seeing the time necessary to do this, really actually what it would be. I mean, whether it's, 100 hours, 1,000 hours, or,
I would
I mean, and actually play out over the next year or so how that would actually play out. So I just don't want to give someone
Mr. Chair,
something
Could
that
we-
wouldn't work.
is it possible that we could table this matter for 2 weeks and get a timeline, a schedule, or how much training, so that everybody,
Yes, to answer your question,
understands it
anything
too?
can be tabled, but the motion that I'm seeing here is confirmation to be able to move forward in this direction. We can either take the action and give it the direction to be able to progress for a future. It doesn't have to be tabled either.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah, yeah.
either course, either which way you guys want to play it. Because by having this item on the agenda, we're discussing the item and empowering
Yeah,
the administrator to be able to move with where we choose to have it go.
And again, just to go back, I think Brett's fully capable of doing it. I think the idea of cross-training is ideal. I just hate to actually take anybody that's a new team player and actually overburden them with something that actually he didn't originally think that he was going to be doing. I mean, and any tools he puts in his belt is going to be better than not. But the idea, I'm just concerned about the idea of making sure our staff actually doesn't feel
Can he
over.
be declared an alternate codes enforcement officer without being qualified?
I don't
Well,
believe so.
he needs to have some type of training.
So you
I don't
can't,
believe so.
we
I mean,
couldn't do that.
No, confirmation to be able to say that he is going to be the person we're
Exactly,
going to.
then he
Yeah,
goes
okay.
through the
That's what I'm
training.
saying. I'm
That's
reading it
why-
quite literally.
Yeah.
Confirming that this is the direction we want to go with that action item.
And you
So,
don't have a motion on the floor
That doesn't
yet.
make him a codes enforcement officer, and that doesn't make us,
No.
Bound by anything.
you.
No.
Yeah.
Right. But what we're clearly communicating here is the fact is, do not limit Brett to a timeline on this.
No,
And
I wouldn't,
s-
no.
I would also encourage to be able to see what area communities could do to help us if something were to come up. I mean, because it's even more complicated, because how does Sabattis or Bowden address when he's doing that in those two communities as well, too? I know it doesn't present itself, but it's still an issue.
There was a time when we didn't have a codes enforcement officer at all, several
did we
years
deal with
ago. We had a contract guy come in and did it once in a while, or I think he was,
On an as-needed basis.
yeah. And that was 2 months, I think, something like that. So anything's possible, but I would move to proceed in that direction,
Yeah.
if that's what we're doing.
If we need something in the short term to be able to address it, I would actually see what we can do with other avenues to be able to do it, because clearly hearing that in the nature associated with goals, Brett is the one department that we actually had any insight, because it was clearly communicated in his monthly report. I don't want to slow his role either.
Yep.
And I think that's what I'm hearing from everybody else here too, is we're liking what we're hearing associated with that, just making sure that we're working with an employee rather than against them. Is that a fair assessment?
And I honestly don't think that would be working
Okay.
against them.
No,
I
no,
honestly don't.
But you're hearing the concerns associated
Right,
with
no,
it.
I know.
The, and again, this is probably a different discussion, but as we cross-train, not just this position, other ones, as any department head actually becomes qualified and certified in other areas, is there any monetary expectations from that as far as when that happens? I mean, is that something we have to be clear about up front? Because I wouldn't assume that someone would actually become trained and certified in another area and actually think that they, are not.
No,
like-
well, it's
yeah.
not part of his job duties.
Exactly,
But
so-
if he was actually doing the work, then.
But even the idea of being qualified for it may actually meet the
Well, it
level of.
increases your market value.
Exactly,
Right.
but just
But it's
questions
not a
I'm asking.
requirement of his job, that's the
Yeah,
only thing.
it's just questions that I'm asking whether or not,
Possible
it's something that,
consideration.
It's considerable.
yeah.
Because again, to your point from last year's goals, is valid, is we need to do better by employees to be able to make sure that we keep them around. This is the place they want to work. Okay, we had a motion on the floor?
Nope, you did not, so do you
made it.
want to make
Well,
a
I thought you did
motion?
for
No, I
discussion.
was.
I made a motion for
I-
discussion, yeah.
I
You
asked,
did? Who seconded it?
I need the second, because all I asked was a question for consideration.
Okay.
I didn't even.
I made the motion to
Yes.
proceed.
Yes, we got the first and we got the second.
All right.
All right.
And is it to confirm the appointment?
No.
It's to,
Well, it's confirmed him being given the resources to be able to move forward for that.
Okay.
That's quite literal. In fact, it's confirmation
But you
that
still
this
want
is
me
the
to
action.
find somebody in the short term as well?
Yes.
I think it's only, because
Yeah.
this could take a year or two, right?
Yes,
mean,
I want to
very
give him a
possible.
year or two. I don't want to push. I don't want to
Yeah.
force his hand to slow anything else he's already got in
Yeah.
the works that he wants to do.
I just
Again-
remember how much it was for Dennis to do it, and he spent a lot of time.
Yeah. No, I absolutely.
Yeah, something, if it happened really quick, there'd be a lot of code enforcement people out there.
Yeah.
And there's not, so it's something that actually, it takes knowledge, time, and patience, so. But again, it's one of those things, my concern was it would just an overtasking our employees. I mean, when we have a good person, you don't want to burn them out, that's all,
No, I know.
right?
Any other questions, concerns?
so that ends with when qualified,
Yep.
right? So you're going to
Yep.
move to confirm the appointment of Brett as alternate code enforcement and alternate plumbing inspector when qualified.
Well,
Right.
no, you've
Is
got
that
to, no, not when
No.
qualified, because
is.
you've got to do it now, because he won't be able to get the training.
So as, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. Quite
Yeah,
literally.
we've got to
Okay.
appoint him in order
And-
for him to get the training
You
through the
have to
state.
appoint him as a trainee or something.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're going to appoint him with the resources to move forward towards it.
Right,
Okay, I got it. Thank you.
and to
Good
find
with that.
somebody in the short
Yeah,
term.
I'm all good, I
And
mean,
find someone
No,
in
you're good with the motion.
cover.
Your name's on it.
yeah, that's fine.
You're good with the
It's-
motion. Your name's
As
on it.
long as,
But
as
you
long,
also want me to find somebody
Yes.
in the short term.
I'll add that to
yeah,
it.
I mean,
so
I
you
think it's
have
only
it.
due diligence to
Yeah,
make sure
I
that.
would add that to it.
I'm not
Okay.
sure, but I think there's some time limits that the state puts on certification too, but I'm not sure.
When I talked to Dennis about it, he didn't seem to think that there was that, no.
But you will vet that
Because
piece.
yes, I talked to
You
him.
will vet that piece.
Dennis is working on
Okay.
getting me some information on it.
Yeah, as long as all the participant people are happy, I think
Yep.
it's
Barring,
If there's an issue, then we'll do a different course, but I don't believe.
barring
we'll-
any surprises, Diane will come back to us with that, but we have enough to be able to vote on this item?
So your motion is to confirm that Brett is an alternate code enforcement, alternate plumbing inspector with the resources to move forward with it and find someone in between to cover.
Right.
Okay.
All in favor?
Order passed, 5-0.
And I guess with that being said, may I actually ask a question, Diane?
Sure.
How many other positions in town are we thinking that we actually have to do it? I mean, as far as, is there other positions in town that we actually don't have alternatives for that we need to be looking at the same manner? I mean, as far as Kathy is one person, she does have a backup, is that person?
Well, yeah, that person's gonna be going through the training this summer.
So that is
So I took care of that.
That's in the process.
Twyla's, we have that part-time person that we're working. Well, it's really one person. Yeah. And then some of the key positions here, because every time we train somebody, they leave, so we're constantly.
So it's
facing
ongoing
that.
anyway,
It's
so-
always ongoing, yeah.
So who's your backup for payroll?
Right now, it's Carol, but we're gonna be training someone else as well.
Okay. And then, all right, that sounds like at least they're better covered than they have been of recent. Because I know you took great efforts with the Treasury office as well at the same time.
We're slowly working towards it. I'm trying to just,
Sewer billing? That was the other one, right?
sewer billing is, that's Megan's the backup, but we're gonna be training somebody else.
Okay.
There's too much
Just
work
trying to
on.
remember the ones that kept bottlenecking
Every time
us.
we get somebody trained, they leave, so if this is ongoing,
Mhm.
yeah.
Cross-training is not a bad thing, just.
It
isn't a bad
overtask
thing.
people, that's also.
The people that are leaving to actually improve themselves, and you definitely
Exactly.
cannot slate
Yep.
them for that.
Exactly. And so, we're gonna have another new person we're gonna be hiring out in the front office.
Right. Right.
So that's gonna be another training. I'm gonna be going through some training and,
So, I'm gonna take liberties. Suggested goals for the coming year would be training as a priority.
yes.
How much more do we have?
Thank you. Okay, then we'd actually need to make sure that we help you assist with that. Anything else?
I'm good.
Okay, next item.
Is Order 2020-12, the council committee assignments.
I shared, and I apologize, I meant to share this Thursday, and I found this morning that it was still in my drafts. I went through summarizing all of the liaison positions. Administrative Library, I had Councilor Lunt. Public Safety, Councilor LaRochelle. Parks, Public Works and Parks, Councilor Colby. Councilor Albert is a backup. School Facilities, I had Councilor LaRochelle, Councilor Fellows.
Could I actually,
Yeah.
John, do you want to take the primary on that? Are you actually still going to the
Yeah.
facility meetings?
Yeah. You
I would
have-
rather actually,
Switch.
because of the time frame those are at now, Don would actually, I'd be a backup, but I mean, I'd rather see him as primary.
Can you make that note,
Your
Twyla?
school facility committee?
Yep.
Yep, I have.
So, School Committee, I had Councilor Albert. And by any means, if anybody wants to weigh in and they have an interest in that, we have always double stacked where we could if people had a genuine interest, so speak up. Planning Board, Councilor Fellows. Water Department, Councilor Fellows. Lisbon Development Committee, I had Councilor LaRochelle and I had Councilor Albert. Assessment Review. Yep.
I'm on it.
Yeah, you're right. Thank you.
Would you be switching
Nope.
to a liaison on it?
By the way, on here, you've got the Water Commission meeting on second and fourth Mondays. They meet on the Tuesday, the second Tuesday of each month.
Thank
Oh,
you.
really?
Yeah. Only.
Just once?
Just once.
Okay, we'll fix that.
Used to be
But
on
getting
Monday.
back to your development committee,
Huh?
are you a member? We need to switch
I've been
that
a
to a
member all-
liaison instead?
No, I'm a member.
He should be a liaison, he
You
should
should
be
be,
a member.
Yeah, you can.
As a counselor?
Yeah,
I think
that's
in our
fair.
bylaws, we actually,
really?
Yeah. Yeah, you can have.
It says liaisons on here,
I
though.
know. but-
Yeah.
if you're
I
a
don't know
member,
how
then
you can be a member.
does that limit who you can have on the LDC by your bylaws.
Let's actually we can actually stack them as far as we both can actually be.
That's what I'm saying,
Yeah.
because we have no limitation from liaisons.
Yep.
If it's limiting you, who you can have on the committee.
And we'll look through, because I think
At
we
least one town council member as appointed annually by the vote of the town council shall serve on the committee.
Yeah, no,
Town
by all
council
means.
member shall appoint it.
I'm look. What can you have for
Okay.
members on the LDC?
It doesn't limit the number of counselors. Associate members are, anyway, how many? We're going to shall be 7 regular members of the committee with up to 4 associate members. Regular members shall be residents of the town, but the council may appoint non-residents as property owners and as associate members. So, of those regular members, 1 shall be a counselor at least.
So then this one, you want to leave Counselor La Rochelle as a primary and Albert as the backup?
That's fine.
actually probably.
Yeah, from the last point that I just heard from Don, with the fact is I would leave him as a regular member,
Yeah.
Okay.
just for that reason,
And
because
him
you
too.
just made that point, and you would be the liaison.
Okay, and take Counselor Albert.
No, I would leave Counselor Albert as the liaison and both of us on members.
Be members who are also liaisons.
It said 1, right?
At least 1.
At least 1.
Right, so it can be 2.
Okay.
Maybe 3.
These Ferns are
The
Has been in the
hardest
past,
thing
a
with
major
that,
part of that.
to present to council, I think it ought to be me or you, because actually Albert probably wouldn't not be the one to be attending the meetings.
well, no.
If we chose to do it, he would probably, I would think most likely not.
Well, we don't have to have a liaison either. We just do.
We can just speak, yeah.
Given the report.
Yeah.
Liaison member.
Whatever.
Leave it at that. Assessment Review Board, Councilor Ganong. Voter Registration Appeals Board, Councilor Ganong. Ethics Panel, Councilor Colby. Library Governing, Councilor Lunt. Appeals Board, Councilor Ganong. Conservation Commission, Councilor Ward. Recreation Committee, Councilor Colby is asked to drop down, so I can either move Mr. Albert up, unless somebody else would like to.
He's not here. Move him up.
Yeah, there you go.
So make that note if you would for us, Twyla.
I will. Counselor Albert's primary.
Yep. Commercial revolving loan, I have Councilor Lunt and Councilor Albert. Budget Committee, Councilor Ward, Councilor Lunt. Finance Committee, I did slide in there. If anybody has any other interest, I will point out, one of the applications that you will see lives in my household.
Yes.
Okay, I want to tie into this, that we're, in other communications associated with this, we have only 2 applicants at this point. I am not prepared to actually act upon those until we can actually officially staff this at a reasonable level. So I would actively speak to the dot in the corner here that says that we need to keep promoting that to be able to give this committee the ability to succeed if we're going to bring it back.
Absolutely.
If we put it up on the website and on the board up front,
It was, I don't know about the marquee,
It is.
the
When it's
issue.
working, we've been having issues with it.
The issue that I would point to primarily is this went out 2 weeks before Christmas, that at least we've got 2 now, that I would continue to beat the bushes, making word-of-mouth recommendations to folks, if you've got people, to be able to do so, to get the key people that we need to tackle some of these topics. Anything else on liaisons that anybody would like to offer, add?
Are you going?
Would you like to live anywhere else associated with this? Because you've heard us go through this, and like I use it for example, is if you're interested in the school committee, being a liaison associated with any one of these, please just let us know. We just want to know where you want to plug you in.
No, I'm good with what you've given me thus far.
Okay, no worries then.
And you still, with that being said, you can sit through any of the committee meetings, just to actually.
Always
be
public meetings. Always public meetings, absolutely.
Are you going to reprint this and put it out or something?
I will, yep. It'll be in your
Twyla will.
minutes.
Yes.
Yep, and then if you want.
My
this to-
version looks like
Send it.
this, Don, and it's basically ripped off from what Twyla did, so,
I printed
Thank you.
yours.
yes. Next item, Twyla.
All right, so, do you need to take a motion to just approve the list or at all? I'm not sure.
Yes, as amended
As amended.
with Councilor Larochelle for school
Changes.
facilities and fellows swapping, and same for recreation with Councilor Colby and Councilor Albert, if you would, please.
Okay.
And noting the Tuesdays versus Mondays on the water department.
Okay.
I
Second?
need a motion. I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Order passed, 5-0.
Next.
Counselor Communications.
If anybody has anything else, I'll let you go first. I want to cover goals.
Mr. Chair, I just wanted to say that on February 4th and February 18th, I will be absent out of the states, out of the mainland.
Cool. Say hi to Terry and family.
And excuse me if you choose.
Yeah, with juice. It's just advance notice. I love it. 2 weeks? That's cool.
February, so say that again, February 4th to when?
I'm missing the meetings of the 4th and the 18th.
Oh,
Oh, okay, I took it the same way he did. 2 weeks you're gonna be gone.
no, I missed that. Okay, that's good.
Okay.
Timing is perfect because budget's the following month, like you said, so you're well there. Anything else before
You go.
the grand sum of everything that I've heard for goals for the coming year? And I apologize, I did not put this on the agenda because as soon as I did, I heard negative feedback 2 years ago when I did that from somebody from the public because it forced their hand associated with this and used against us. So it is a working discussion at this point, and I choose to keep it that way for open dialogue. Improved communication, promotion by council and town issues to public at meetings, social media, etc. Primarily making sure what goes out to the dot in the corner is actually making us look like productive members that they elected. Electronic video meeting attendance regulation.
Yeah, we heard that tonight, is how difficult it is, but I would still like to
Yeah,
approach
so,
Counselor
yes, absolutely, please.
Mason, or Kraus.
Yes,
Mason.
direct energies there is what we heard clearly. Successful rollout of the Finance Committee. Solid waste cost reduction and transferring of use versus taxpayer discussion. Paper bag, etc. Our harassment training for committee members, implementation. Expanding the economic community development promotion. Economic development contracts and global sustainability initiative. Graziano Square and Warumbo site plans and development. Town planner goals or priorities for the coming year. Town manager evaluation and contract. Combined capital improvement, town, water, school, all in the same format. Greater scope of projects, vehicles, equipments, projects, infrastructure, maintenance, budgeting, finance discussions for operation improvements. Committee goal setting communications for the component for the coming year. And then staff recognition in training is a priority. Does anybody else have anything that they would like to add to this? Because the next goal associated with this would be to try to figure out when and where we can plug some of these in.
I think some of them actually are overlapping, so I think actually it looks like a big list, but I think a lot of it actually is very doable.
Very true in that regard. And some of them we've already tackled. I mean, I'll use for instance, next week with the next meeting, I should say, with the goals workshop that formalizes a lot of this. The intent with that one is both improved communication between us, the departments and the committees, their priorities, helping them, having them be our priorities and overlap. The staff training and recognition, I think they go hand in hand. In that regard is trying to work with the people that actually work here for us. Anybody else thinking anything? I will share this with you all. I think I did. I don't remember.
There's a couple add-ons.
But there's just the two add-ons on the bottom that came from tonight. I think it's a good list. Our struggle that I think that is going to play itself out next meeting is trying to contain the goals discussion to a 1-hour workshop. I will hold the line to be able to do so. I would like to, and I had a couple of dialogues with Diane, just to let you guys know, is the fact that I would like to get everything centralized here so we can control what goes out, rather than having individual departments have to report, because that slows the process down, and if we have key things that we want to ask questions on, we can do that. And if it goes slightly over, we'll do like we did tonight. We'll roll directly from a workshop into the meeting, but I don't want it to be a 2.5-hour workshop on goals and put us behind on the normal meeting agenda. Is everybody agreeable with that, at least conceptually?
It's not like 9:30 or anything right now.
I understand. I suck at that.
So
Yes.
you're going to send me your goals so I can put it into the
Yep.
document that I'll send out to you?
Yep. If you
But
could.
you still want the department heads there at the meeting, right?
No, by all means, because it's.
In
I
case
think.
there's any questions.
What I don't want is I actually want to ask for something of the department heads and not feel that they have the ability
Right.
to be able to speak towards it.
Right.
You know, the fact is in that regard, and have it be an active participation, because yeah, it's a genuine ask. We know what we're thinking. We want to make sure that they
Yep.
feel the same associated with that, and the same with the committees. You know, so conservation, when I sit down with them and everybody else from the various committees, will have their input for what they hope to accomplish for the coming year. All right, that would be what I would offer on there. Anybody else communications? Audience participation and response for new items then. Executive session we did. We had the last item, 12?
We are, to adjourn.
I didn't
make
want to
that-
steal your thunder.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Go home, have some dinner. All in favor?
All in favor?
We all are, right?
5-0,
We
stand
out.
adjourned.
Now I can have dinner?
Yes.
Is that it?
Yes. I didn't even-
Bill, how you doing, sir? I hear ya.
We made it longer, huh?
I've been rumored to be able to suck the life force